Happy Monday evening, everyone. Welcome into the show. It's so lovely to have you here. It's a little warm in my apartment, but oh well, I'm going to live with it. I hope it's nice where you are. We're going to talk about from a certain point of view tonight. We're going to do some Empire Strikes Back love. We got High Republic news. We got the whole gang in store, and Charles has homework later, so we better start the show right now. Wes, punch it! Oh, what is up, everyone? Welcome into the Living Force. So good to have you here on a Monday or a Thursday or a Friday, or you know what? You're listening whenever you want. That's your choice, and we're happy you're doing it. I am one of your hosts, Eric Eilerson, and joining me tonight is the full crew. We have the doctors. We start with Dr. Corey Helton. Hey, buddy.
Hello there. What's up, guys?
How you doing, man?
I'm good. I had a 24-hour shift yesterday I'm coming off of, but I slept, a good amount today. And, I'm groggy, if not intoxicated. So cheers.
Great. That sounds absolutely gross. We also have Charles Hankel. Dr. Charles Hankel. Hey, buddy.
Corey stole my line. He said hello there. I can't say that now. So, hey, what's up? How's it going, guys?
We're doomed.
I do have a story that I want to tell, but I don't want to tell it before Mr. Wes Jenkins gets introduced as well.
Wow, okay, way to spoil it. Wes Jenkins is here too, I guess.
Howdy, folks.
Hi, Wes.
Good to see everyone. Appreciate the introduction, Charles.
Every week I get to have the intro lines, and Charles is like, nope, this week I don't care.
Well, listen, Corey stole my thing. I steal your thing. Now that's Wes's turn to steal something.
Well, I will also take one thing that I love that you can't take away from me, actually, is saying hi to the people in the chat. We have a good crew here tonight, as always. I want to say a special thank you to our buddy Tom Balmagoose, who said, nice chair, Eric. Thank you. It's a very distracting cyberpunk chair. I did, in case you're all wondering, put over 30 hours into the game over the weekend, and since I have a new console, it ran fine. But I do want to say hi to everyone else, including we got Joxy in the chat, Meg is there, Spice Den is there. Who else we got in here? John Dutch Vander is here. Happy to have you, as always. Happy you're tuning in to hear us talk about, from a certain point of view, Empire Strikes Back. Not our traditional roundtable, but we are going to talk about things we loved about the book a little later on. But before we do that, a couple Patreon updates we want to make you all aware of. You know what? I'm going to stop myself there. I was in a rhythm. But Charles, I want to hear your story first. I almost cut that off because I wasn't in the outline. But you got a weird package this week.
I did
You got a what? Continue.
Charles got a weird package. I said
Eric
it.
has indeed been playing way too much Cyberpunk.
So Eric and Wes know this story. Corey, you may or may not be in on this story, but when we were recording our last episode of Bounty Hunt, a mystery unfolded. And I received a letter in the mail, or an envelope in the mail, and it was addressed from a Mr. Tim Vanth from Pasadena, California. Now, when I first saw this envelope, I thought, Vanth, that's weird, kind of like Cobb Vanth, probably no relation, because he's a fictional character. But anyways, took the envelope upstairs, opened it up, and lo and behold, it's not a letter. It is, I'm going to hold this up for the audience, a paper cutout of Cobb Vanth. But wait, no, it's not just one paper cutout of Cobb Vanth. It's like a bunch of them. Okay. And someone just mailed these to me for an unknown reason. There's no letter with it. There's no explanation. There's no ransom note, which I would kind of expect to see. Someone took their time with this too. I'm gonna hold this up close. Yeah. Look at the detail of going around the ears.
I want you
Those
to
are like almost laser cut.
I want you to tape that in front of your camera, so that's just like there for the remainder of the show.
So that it just looks like Cobb Vanth is doing this. So I've been upset since I got this because I don't know what it means. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this.
I don't know what they want.
I will say, since this mystery first unfolded, I did reach out to some people on Slack, and they did confirm to me that Tim Vanth may or may not have the same address as Jose Joxy. So, Joxy, what's going on, man? What are you trying to tell me?
Is everything all right, man? You need to. Do we need to put you in like a mental hospital or something? I mean,
well, and it's funny
It was a
because
good laugh.
he's the architect, right? So the steady hand makes sense. With I assume he has like an X-Acto knife and a drafting board. But I was when you first told Wes and I about this, unprompted on Bounty Hunt. By the way, if you listen to the last Bounty Hunt, you'll hear me trying to do the credits and absolutely just biffing all over the place because Charles was holding it up to the camera. I was like, I don't feel like you've been particularly vocal about Cobb Vanth. You're not like a Cobb Vanth stan, or like it's a very odd specific choice.
Listen, I know if I haven't gotten cutouts of Obi-Wan in the mail, I don't know why I'm getting cutouts of Cobb Vanth, but I'm gonna let Jose explain himself in the chat.
We should just publish all our addresses so that listeners can just send us random things.
Oh my god!
I see no way that could backfire.
No way that could backfire.
Oh my gosh. Well, Joxy in the chat, he just did say, Charles, apparently you mentioned wanting a cardboard cutout of Cobb Vanth at some point. This is what he could afford. There you go. And to the Red Eye leader who just asked, what is going on? You
welcome
are now
to the
alone.
show.
And you can welcome.
Yeah. You know about it.
Now. Guys, now we got to be serious. We got to talk about Star Wars now.
Star Wars.
Let's be real.
Why are we even here?
We're here. Well, now we're here to actually talk about money and talk about Patreon because since our last show aired, I kid you not, our Patreon community, we love you all. We've extolled your praises show after show. Since our last show, guys, we hit another Patreon goal that's
mind-blowing.
We haven't even done the last one yet. And so, I mean, thank you all for continuing to support, but we hit our next Patreon goal, which is an official Phantom Menace film commentary by us, the host of the Living Force. So, I mean, Corey is going to be doing the iJedi Patreon goal Friday, January 8th.
Which I've complained about a lot on this show, but I'm actually getting pretty excited about it. I think I'm going to go all out and I'm going to fireplace, and it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be really fun. I have to figure out, I do have to figure out a drinking game related to the book though. So somebody needs to help me figure this out.
I think you just drink.
Yeah.
That's
we'll have
the
plenty
game.
of ideas for you.
I get so intoxicated that I can't read it. That's the game.
Well, that'll be that, and I can't say there won't also be drinks at the Phantom Menace film commentary. Which don't you worry, Andrew already said in the chat, like y'all better be nice to Phantom Menace. We're Phantom Menace lovers around here. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
Sure.
So very excited to actually record that because we've kind of watched movies together, but we've never recorded a commentary together before. So I'm excited to do that. So thank you all for that. Our next Patreon goal, which I guess we got to keep pushing, is a 2-part roundtable of Claudia Gray's Bloodline, one of the really phenomenal, frankly underrepresented canon books. That would be the next one. So like we did with Lost Stars way back when, it feels like now, if we hit our next Patreon goal, we will be doing a roundtable of Bloodline. So we'll keep you posted on that. This is again a reminder that if you want to hit up a Eugenie annual Patreon membership, sign up by December 31st. You get 2 months free at any tier. That has actually been very instrumental in getting us to these goals. So thank you to everyone that has done that. Speaking of patrons, Corey, we skipped my favorite segment last week, but it's back this week.
It is back this week, the patron of the week. And this week we have a very interesting gentleman. Special. Yeah. Wes tells us he's an interesting guy. So I think he's a good friend of Wes. I see who he keeps company with, so I guess that explains it. But anyway, we have a patron of the week this week, so let's go ahead and roll that, Wes.
Hey everybody, my name's Chase, patron of the week. I'm from Houston, Astros fan. Suck it, Eric. We won a World Series banging on trash cans, and I don't care. Sorry. Got here because played video games. Always played the old Knights of the Old Republic. Loved the game. Thought it was really cool. Because of that, I got more into the series, the movie series, I should say. I never really read any books till about a year ago. First book I read was Darth Bane. Just fell in love with it. Thought it was so cool. Really enjoyed everything about it. Just crushed the trilogy over the holidays, or last holidays, I should say, and just enjoyed everything about it. And then from there, started to make my way, picking up different books, continue to, I guess, grow my understanding of the expanded universe. But my favorite film is Empire Strikes Back. I just thought it was so cool when it came out, or just cool in general. The fact that bad guys win. Bad guys never win, and they don't win like that. So, I mean, watching that movie, just watch Vader just kind of destroy all the heroes and, destroy Luke's mentality with the whole drop of him being his father was awesome. I could really get behind that. What made me, support the community was my buddy Wes's, he's been a part of it. Him and I kind of found out that we were Star Wars nerds after The Force Awakens. We watched the movie. We went to World of Beers and we talked about Star Wars for literally 2-3 hours. I can't even remember. I started getting drunk, but it was fun. And then from there, we just kind of always snuck off and talked about Star Wars. And so here we got a community that supports that. So it's been fun. One of the things I'm looking forward to is all the new content coming out, the new shows, everything on Disney Plus. I think is going to be great. It's new. I think for me being a newbie to all this, I don't really have a lot of understanding of the legends or canon or anything other than the few books that I've read and the podcasts I've listened to. So starting fresh, I think, is fair for me against some of you other guys. But more so just fun because it's new. I don't really have any handles or social media tags. I'm not too big into that stuff, but I do play Xbox from time to time, so you can look me up. I'm the Lou Monster. Been playing a lot of Assassin's Creed. It's been pretty cool. If I have to give you guys a question and answer, would you like to blackmail Wes? Because I got some stuff. But if you don't want to do that, we'll steal one from the movie The Step Brothers. You got to marry one, you got to kill one, and you got to impregnate one. And my only parameter to this is that Eric cannot choose Padme. Bye.
Oh,
There you go, Corey.
oh my God. I would like to say that I'm surprised at all by this incredibly inappropriate question that we just played live on the internet. But, seeing this is one of your close friends, Wes, I'm not at all. So here we are.
First thing I want to say is that guy is awesome because he gives me big props. Second thing I'm going to say is we're not going to do your damn question, Chase. And thirdly, we're going to send you your $5 back this month because that's rude and it's it's something we shouldn't do on a family show.
Family show.
But here's what I will say. I will 100% take you up on the offer to blackmail Wes. I love that. And I will also say that the only other time that an evil entity has won other than the Empire Strikes Back is, in fact, when the Astros won the World Series. So I totally get it. I get the reasoning. But thank you. But in all seriousness, thank you, Chase, for supporting the show. It's awesome to hear how you and Wes got to bond over Star Wars and kind of find this other area of the community to kind of engage with. And we love having you here. We also want to say thank you to Maggie Smith, who this week became an annual patron, and to our very own Adam Dyson, who became a monthly patron once more, and actually is the reason that Phantom Menace commentary is happening. So go thank your very favorite Discord moderator for getting us over that hump. All right, now it is time for another favorite segment of the show, the Star Wars Weekly Roundup. And, when I was first writing this outline, everybody, wasn't a whole lot of Star Wars news that happened. And then it was Thursday. And if you haven't been to our YouTube channel recently, Corey and I put out a big reaction video on the Disney Investor Day that happened. If you were unaware, 10 new Star Wars series got announced for the Disney Plus. Corey, if you want to throw up the little visual we have, this is all the stuff that got announced, confirmed.
Just
with
a few
everything.
things.
Yeah, including, if you're listening to audio, we have Star Wars Rangers of the New Republic, Star Wars Ahsoka, Star Wars Visions, The Bad Batch, Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi, Star Wars Andor, officially named, Star Wars Lando, Star Wars The Acolyte, Star Wars A Droid Story, and the next feature film in 2023, Star Wars Rogue Squadron, directed by Patty Jenkins. So, we took a while kind of breaking these down earlier, but now it's the four of us. Guys, what did you think about this?
Yeah, mad props for this stuff, man. Eric, we could not contain our excitement when we recorded that video.
No.
If you guys haven't seen that, it's pretty fun. Somebody said, I don't know if somebody on our team, somebody said that they thought that they were watching it at like 1.25 speed because we were going so fast.
Yeah, because we were so stoked about it.
Yeah.
But I guess Charles West, people have heard what Corey and I think about this. I see in the chat, John Dutch Vander says he's most intrigued by The Acolyte. Which of these projects intrigue you guys the most? I'll say which of the projects we didn't know about intrigue you the most?
I think Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
I think Rogue Squadron, because I mean it's got so many Legends ties potentially, and it seems like with that little intro video from Patty Jenkins that it's in good hands. Like it's someone that is going to to appreciate what it is. It sounds like to be a pilot, a fighter pilot, and also what it is to love Star Wars and to know how to tell a good story. So all those things together, I have very high hopes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all kind of had an idea of when the next movie was coming out, but we didn't know which movie it was. So, and then we thought it may have been the Rian Johnson movie. We could have been a different director, but apparently it's Patty Jenkins, and it's a great choice, especially with the background in her father being a fighter pilot, and then her actually being a part of reading those Star Wars books beforehand.
Yeah. She's awesome. And it was cool to see Michael Stackpole responding to her as well on Twitter. Like kind of bringing the universes together was so cool. And like, I mean, we've had awesome flight sequences like in Force Awakens. We had the great Poe sequence, Rogue One. Obviously, we got the great space battles. But to have a movie that's going to be based purely around pilots at like a $250 million budget.
Yeah, it's gets me really excited too. I mean, you guys know how much I love Rogue One. It's like the perfect mix of nostalgia and like modern computer graphics and stuff like that. And like, I'm really excited for this because I really hope that they're related in a way where it feels like you could almost watch them as a trilogy. Like if there is a duology, regardless how many films they create. Like, I'm really excited for this.
That'd be incredible. And I'm gonna join Spice Den and John Dutch as well by saying that The Acolyte really intrigues me. That's the series from Leslie Headland, who did Russian Doll, and it's said to be about kind of dark magic near the end of the High Republic. And the fact that the High Republic is already going into visual mediums is incredible.
It's nuts. We said that was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. It's way too big of a project. I can't wait because Eric, I know we can't do a whole lot of spoilers, but you've completed the first of the High Republic books recently, have you not?
I did, and I do want to take this time to say I will. The embargo is up, so there are reviews out of the first 3 High Republic books. I have 2 of them next to me here. The advanced reader copies of Claudia Gray's Into the Dark and Justina Ireland's A Test of Courage. I have not finished these 2 yet, but I did finish Charles Soule's Light of the Jedi, and I tweeted it out. But if you don't follow me on Twitter, that's fine. I'm not mad about it. But if you did see my reaction, I wanted to, no spoilers, say on here at this moment, it is the best Star Wars book I've ever read. I give it a solid 10 out of 10 without reservation. I think that Charles Soule was given a near impossible task in setting up a new era with characters that were both brand new yet familiar enough to fit in the universe. And you can tell the entire Luminous team really worked cohesively to make this product because the universe feels lived in. All the characters, and I do mean all the characters, whether they're in 1 chapter or in 40 chapters, are fascinating to read about. The Nihil are a fascinating new villain that I'm not just waiting to get back to the Jedi chapters, which is a huge feat in my opinion. And the way the book ends sets up like momentum for Kevin Scott's book, The Rising Storm, which they've said it kind of carries the torch in a amazing way that also really terrified me with the machinations of the villains. So if you are a fan of literally anything Star Wars, they did it straight up. Light of the Jedi, it's coming out January 5th, and our hype has been out of this world, but it still might not be high enough. So that's my initial thought on Light of the Jedi.
Wow. All right.
So I guess you liked it. Okay, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was okay. Yeah. Here's the thing. I took 2 days off of work to play Cyberpunk 2077 this weekend, and on Saturday I literally spent 2.5 hours reading the book instead of gaming because I couldn't put it down. I was like,
that's awesome.
I wanted to finish it. So
That's awesome. Can't wait. Well, we read the first 8 chapters together, and those were phenomenal. So really can't wait to dive into this one.
It really kind of keeps that bar high. And if you're interested in all the High Republic stuff, as we hope you are if you're watching this show, on January 4th, it just got announced there will be a live stream event featuring a lot of the creators of Luminous, all the authors, where they're going to announce some of the new stuff. So from what it sounds like, we're probably going to be getting the next wave titles, more information about the future of the High Republic. Sorry, reading the comments. Yeah, Tom, you might want to read that one. I heard it's pretty good. So tune in for that live stream, learn about the High Republic, and then the next day you can start reading this new era. I'm so thankful for this show, frankly, that we get to do a show about Star Wars books at this point when the High Republic is happening. And one last bit of news I want to add to y'all. It got announced this week that Thrawn Ascendancy Greater Good and Kevin Scott's High Republic The Rising Storm were all moved up 1 week. So not a huge change, but now The Greater Good will be released on April 27th, and The Rising Storm will be released June 29th. So, that's great. It's one less week. We got to wait for some new Star Wars books. 2021 is going to be seriously incredible for all things Star Wars. So we wanted to keep you abreast of that. Of course, check the new release page on Utini where you can find all the books in order. We currently have a bit of site malfunction with being able to go to book profiles from that new release page. We are working on it, but if you see your book on there, just Google it in the search bar. You'll find all the pre-order links you need. All right. Now, before we get into our From a Certain Point of View talk, we have a brand new merch ad courtesy of our very own Joxy /Jose/designer extraordinaire. So we're going to roll that, and we'll be right back to talk about The Empire Strikes Back. And we are back. Oh, I'm so glad that y'all will never hear what we say during those breaks. All right, we are here to talk about this phenomenal book From a Certain Point of View, The Empire Strikes Back, the latest anthology collection from our good friends at Del Rey. This is a sequel to From a Certain Point of View, which celebrated the 40th anniversary of A New Hope. It is 40 stories by 40 authors. We wrote a review of it over at utini.com, which we highly suggest you check out. Very favorable by our team. We all very much enjoyed it. And rather than do a full roundtable discussing the plot and character and insight of all 40 stories, because frankly, I don't want to kill Charles, we decided.
So, listen, we have to acknowledge the reason. Look how massive this is. It's huge. The book is enormous.
A thick ass boy.
It's a big ass boy. It is. It's a massive. Listen, so I listened to the audiobook because I knew that this was way too big of a book for me to try to get through, on top of being in the ICU for that month as I was trying to get through it. So I was basically
working in the ICU. You were working in the ICU.
Correct. Yeah.
That's important to say.
It is important to clarify. I basically exclusively listened to it to my commute, which is 22 minutes, basically. And I didn't finish it. I think I have like 3 hours left. So I had to get the guys to send me what they thought were the most high yield stories to listen to the last 10 or something like that. Because it's so big. The audiobook is 17 hours. It might be the longest Star Wars audiobook. I think it is.
And it still only costs you 1 Audible credit.
It does.
So if you're looking for pure value per minute.
It does.
I also want to say Andrew Bell in our chat, who is the mastermind behind the Utinis, which are coming up. We want to remind you of that at the end of the show. Insider scoop. From a Certain Point of View, The Empire Strikes Back is one of the 4 finalists for the Book of the Year Utini Award. So make sure to tune in to see if it wins. But Today I wanted to.
Sorry to interrupt. We should actually plug the Utinis pretty hard right now, because we haven't done that yet. So that's next week, right? It's next Monday.
Yeah, 21st, right? Yeah, next Monday is the Utinis, and the next week is the Christmas party.
Yes. So next Monday, everybody, you guys live with us, you've got to tune in next week. It's going to be a load of fun. So we're having an award show. We've talked about this extensively on the show. We're going to give away, awards to what we thought was the best book, and it was all community driven. People voted. It was a big time, and we've gone all out. I mean, we're talking suits and bow ties. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yep. So you got to make sure
visual overlays. Shout out to Ryan and our team who has completely overhauled the graphics that you'll see if you tune in Monday night or watch the YouTube video later. There'll be a bunch of little fun video gags that will celebrate 2020, because after the year we had, we really wanted to celebrate the good stuff that got created and send it out with a bang. And it's very silly, but very fun. And I think that's a good balance for our show.
Yes, absolutely.
So next Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, twitch.tv/Utini_US. Be here for the Utini Awards and see if, from a certain point of view, The Empire Strikes Back takes home the big prize. We don't know, actually. We haven't seen the votes, to be completely honest.
We're gonna open them like envelopes.
Yeah, we're not gonna see them. So
yeah, I need to figure out a way to. Actually, that's a good thing I need to do. I need to figure out a way to randomize it so we don't actually see it until the time comes. That would be really cool.
That would be awesome. Just have Andrew in Slack privately message us the second before it happens. We'll figure it out.
That's a great idea. Great idea. All
right, so that's next week. This week, I want to go around now, boys, and I want us to, in typical Roundtable style, rate from a certain point of view The Empire Strikes Back on a 10-point scale. And then after we talk about all our favorite stories, we will re-rate. So, Corey, you were just talking about your journey reading it. Why don't you start us off? 1 out of 10.
I would
1 to 10.
1 out of 10. Guys, actually, it's a 1 out of 10. It's really terrible.
It's harsh. Top 4 book of the year, though.
Yeah. It's been a long year. I really enjoyed this book. I'm going to give this one an 8.5 out of 10. The audiobook experience is really high level. Any of you guys listen to the audiobook?
Yes.
I bounced back and forth.
Okay. The audiobook experience of this book was up there. I mean, because they have so many different narrators and authors, it feels a little bit like a radio drama or a audio drama that is like the ones that came out the last couple of years. Like it just has this sort of really epic feel to it. This, like, all the different narrators just really killed it with all their different portrayals of these characters. So it was really good. I really enjoyed this one. I mean, as with all these short stories books, there's like some hit or miss stuff. You either love the short story or you are like, maybe I didn't really need that one. But I think as a whole, it was really good. 8.5 out of 10.
All right, excellent. Wes, how about you?
I'm going to give it an 8.4 out of 10. So I started off reading it, and I got about a fifth of the way through, and then I started listening to the audiobook, and then I started flipping back and forth between not listening to the audio and then reading. Some of the people who are reading the passages or the stories really make the story itself.
It does.
So if I was just reading it, then I probably wouldn't have picked it as one of my top 5. But there's one in my top 5 that I picked just because of a certain person that was reading it. And then towards the end, John Hamm read one of them, and I was like, John
Boba Fett, he came back.
I was like, John Hamm, hell yeah, you handsome son of a bitch.
It's funny, Wes. That's his full Christian name. John Hamm, you handsome son of a bitch.
Okay, fantastic. But so I think that, pick up the audiobook for this, because even if you've gone through and read some of these, if you reread them with the sound effects and the narration from certain readers, it really makes it for a better read. Yeah,
and I feel like we haven't talked a lot about this particular point, but I like how you said reread it in terms of an audiobook, Wes, because we just want to say at Utini, we firmly believe that whether you read the books physically or digitally or listen to the audiobooks, it's all reading. Like, I think some people kind of talk down about audiobooks because, like, you're not actually reading, you're just listening. Like, no, that's reading a book. That's experiencing a story. And with Star Wars audiobooks, like we have said, you get so much more with the production, the sound effects, and the narrators. So definitely both are very solid choices.
That was a bit of advice that I got from the first From a Certain Point of View book. Is that book? I don't think they marketed it like properly the first time around, and it didn't hit that hard when it was released. Like a lot of people were just not as crazy about it. But I listened to the audiobook and I had a wonderful experience with that book. So like I knew I wanted to try.
That was our best audiobook in our best audiobook article. That's
right. It was indeed. So, I mean, I knew the audiobook was going to be good. And I thought this one hit even harder than that one did. I thought it was good. So really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Charles, how about you? 1 to 10.
Yeah. So I think I would give this one an 8.0, and maybe because I read the whole thing, the physical copy. I listened to a couple of the samples, I think, when they first kind of let those out, and I enjoyed them, but for whatever reason, I'm just more of a physical copy kind of guy. And I think this book overall, obviously an 8 out of 10, like it was a success. I kept a note in my phone the whole time I read it, and I had my list of loves, my list of likes, and I had my list of dislikes. And I will say there were very, very few dislikes. But that's what's cool about these books, and what's unique about all these short story compilations is there's something for everybody in here,
absolutely.
And on the flip side of that, that probably means though that there might be some stuff that's just not for you, and that's fine. Overall though, I think this is a really, really high quality project. I enjoyed working my way through it. It was nice to have something that was a little bit more you could digest, in bite sizes, basically. Like I would read a couple of stories before I went to sleep and not have to worry about remembering everything that came before, right? I just have to remember that movie that I have loved for literally as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
One small piece of meta commentary that I'm not sure if you guys have considered is these types of projects where they get all of these authors involved is really, really good for the community for a lot of reasons. One of the biggest things that's I've thought about is like, a lot of these authors probably don't get to work together that frequently because Star Wars is such a huge thing. But when they do these massive projects, it's really clear that they're communicating with each other and fostering relationships amongst themselves. And that is really, really cool to me that the authors themselves, we've interviewed enough of them on the show to understand that the authors themselves have a pretty tight knit community when it comes to Star Wars, and they all take it really seriously. And so like projects like this, really stand out to me because it gives them this sort of opportunity to really bounce ideas off of each other, and that is only good for the Star Wars fandom. It's only good.
Yeah, and it was really cool to see when this first project got announced, the day that they announced all the authors, the amount of interplay between them on Twitter of like, oh, I've always loved you, and now you're in Star Wars. I'm in Star Wars. Like especially a lot of first-time authors in Star Wars world were so excited, and they got to share that with like-minded people. And I think this also leads a lot of the Star Wars community to books maybe we never would have read, but like, oh, now there's 40 writers that also write other books. Now I can go find other non-Star Wars fiction that I like. Like that's how I found Tracy Deon's Legendborn, which is one of my favorite books this year, and may come up later in the show. But I think it's just a really cool, unique thing because anthologies have been around for a bit, but to put this much work into it in Star Wars is great. And I will finish that comment by saying I'm going to give this an 8.8 myself for all the reasons y'all said. I like this better than the first from a certain point of view myself. I think it's a much more diverse cast, not only of authors, but also of subject, of thought. And it's clearly written for literally anyone. Like no matter what kind of books you like, you will find a story to absolutely love in this.
Absolutely.
Which will totally make for some stories that you may not love, but no matter who you are, you will find yourself in this book. And I think that's so fun and cool and really gives Star Wars a great diving board to jump off of. So speaking of those diving boards, metaphors, let's jump right into what we're going to do instead of our traditional roundtable, which is our top 5 stories. I tasked these guys with picking 5 stories that we loved because if we didn't love a story, that's fine. But at Utini, we talk about what we love. We talk about what we like in Star Wars, and there's no real use to like dwell on a story for not hitting with us. Because if it hit with you, we don't want you to think that you're wrong because we didn't love it. So we're going to talk about what we really adored, why we did, and these are all going to be surprises. So maybe there'll be some doubles. I personally have a list of 10 that I'm going to see if
I do too.
I can try to work around. But let's go reverse order. I will go last because I always like going last. Charles, what is one of your top 5 favorite stories and from a certain point of view?
Okay, well, I will say these are in no particular order. So the last one that I say
Yeah,
won't
mine are
necessarily
too.
be my favorite of the whole
Same here.
book. But the first one that I think I'm going to mention is actually, and hopefully I'm even saying this right, because I still don't fully understand where the name of this one comes from, but Stet by Daniel
Stet.
Jose Older.
Yes.
Stet.
Yeah, the whole Zuckus and 4-LOM or 4-LOM, depending on where you come from.
It's 4-LOM. Get out if you're 4-LOM.
Okay.
Sorry, that's my line.
That story was insane. I don't know if we're gonna like break down each one individually as we go, but I have many thoughts.
Yeah.
Just-
So
let's
we're
just-
probably gonna go through 20 possible stories. So we'll
Give
go
us,
super deep.
give us some of the highlights, though, Charles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was essentially like two bounty hunters, right? That we know very well from Empire Strikes Back, Zuckus and 4-LOM, Eric.
Thank you.
And they are weirdly like pretending to have created a charity for like children who have been killed in some galactic disaster, something like that. I can't recall the exact details. There's like a journalist who's meeting them in a cafe to write about their change of heart, basically from turning away from being bounty hunters. And as it turns out, the journalist is like a member of a crime syndicate, and all hell breaks loose in this cafe. And if that sounds you know what crazy, it's because it is, man.
Is this the story where she keeps telling him to change grandpa?
Yes.
And delete
Yeah,
grandpa?
there are literally editor's notes in. This is the most meta of all the
is.
stories, and like, and shout out to
Here,
Tom
here.
who's watching the show, our editor at Del Rey.
Look at the way it looks. Look at the way it's written here.
Yeah.
Wes, full screen that for me real fast. It's like,
right.
yeah, there's like all these notes on the sides of the pages and stuff. It's like, what is this? It's so meta. It's awesome. It's like they probably had to use some like special printing technique just to make this happen on these pages. Like it's super cool.
That is pretty
and
cool.
I think this speaks to what makes this collection so cool and different from a certain point of view, is that this is a bonkers idea to show
Yeah, it is.
inside baseball publishing jokes, and they're like, yeah, go for it.
The
and
audio,
how fun Daniel Jose Older
the audio for this was very interesting too, because like it was almost a little challenging to get through. Like I'm sure that was very hard to narrate because they would be reading along and people would be like, correction, it is our publications policy to italicize all non-basic languages, including whatever this is. Like, and it would just interrupt the audio. It was so fun to do that. So great choice, Charles.
And it's also funny, like, there's another level of it. If you follow some of these writers on Twitter, like, they sometimes talk about things in publishing that frustrate them. And some of those inside things are definitely in this. And I want to read
it felt like a running joke about this.
Yeah, oh my God. I want to read this. Tom just commented, fun fact, during the production process, one of our real editorial notes accidentally got printed as one of the fake ones and was only caught just before the book was finalized.
That's fantastic.
amazing.
That's fantastic.
Great choice. So it's Stet, Daniel Jose Older, who wrote Last Shot, and of course is writing the High Republic Adventures and the next junior novel in the High Republic. So he's got tons of Star Wars stuff coming up. Wes, how about you? Go to one of your five.
All right. One of my top 5 is the very first story of the book, Eyes of the Empire.
Ooh, nice choice.
I thought that, basically, I'll give you a little synopsis of the story. I described this person as a probe droid observation analyst. Her name is Mela, and she works for Project Swarm, where basically they observe everything that the probe droids, wherever they land to when they're looking for the rebels, what they see out of their eyes. So they're looking for rebels or events of rebels or some type of activity where they would send it up the chain of command. Hey, there's rebel activity here. Let's go check it out. So she grew up with her mother was an engineer for these probe droids, and then she grew up and got a job with Empire as a probe droid observation analyst, and then she moved into a position where she just watches probe droids' visions and what they see, and one landed on Hoth, and so they sent that information up to Admiral Pete, and that's when they sent everybody down. They basically cut it from there to 2 days later, and while everybody's sleeping, she goes and checks another probe droid that's still alive, still in working order on Hoth, and she sees the destruction left behind. She sees all the dead bodies of the rebels, all the dead bodies of the Imperials, the dead tauntauns, and she's like, "This is probably the worst thing that I've ever done. Because if I'd have said something, then this wouldn't have happened. This destruction." But
that was a good one.
yeah, the kicker of the story was one of the probe droids lands on an asteroid, but it breaks, and all you can see is one view, and they're like, let's not even look at it. And then one landed on a swampland, and you would not look twice. But she looked around and she said she saw a submerged X-wing, and she saw this and said that was remnants of the rebels. But if she would have seen something, then more destruction would come their way. So this is when she decided that she would not send this up chain of command. She was probably going to turn into a rebel spy. That's what I was thinking at the end of this. And she deleted the footage. So
excellent.
If she had sent that information back up to the chain of command, the Empire would have been on Dagobah, and this whole Skywalker saga may never have happened. And they get that the first story of the book. It's great.
Dude, that's one of my favorite things about these kind of anthologies is that you're able to put in these linchpin characters, right? That shows you like the life is really made of singular moments and people making singular decisions sometimes. And to start the book off with something this dark of like someone witnessing slaughter and realizing their part in it and accountability, I think set a really cool tone for the whole collection.
Oh yeah, it totally did. Yeah, I really like we got a lot of there were a lot of rebel / Imperial stories in this where they would kind of go back and forth, like of kind of realizing that it's all for nothing and stuff. I really like those stories in this. That was good.
Yeah.
That was
really good stuff.
Yep. Yeah. I also really appreciate that those types of stories really take you into exactly what the project is, of like, this is a short story format of these unique background characters that like you kind of need to know the movie pretty well to get it, right? So like, I love this stuff. It expands the universe. That's the coolest stuff about the expanded universe. So good choice.
100%. Corey, hit us with one of yours.
I am going to go with, I think we're all sort of choosing stuff that we really like, but maybe not our like absolute favorite. I mean, I know we said this is kind of out of order. I'm going to go with A Naturalist on Hoth by Hank Green.
Hank Green, yeah.
That was such an interesting story. The premise is this guy is like he's from a rich family, and he was a nerd and went to college and was like really into biology and botany and all this stuff, and just got like totally disgusted by what happened on Alderaan and ended up joining the Rebel Alliance. And he is tasked with like helping to identify planets and stuff that would be suitable bases for like the rebellion. And they go to Hoth and have this like adventure on Hoth of like figuring out like how to survive on the planet. And it's really, really good stuff. Like I really enjoyed that story.
And it's fun because like Hank Green, if you followed Hank for a while, like I followed him for over a decade through Vlogbrothers and through he does the Crash Course science shows and does podcasts, and he's a decently noted scientist guy, and the fact that he got to do a story all about a scientist in Star Wars is something fun and something that is completely unique to him and his knowledge. And I think that's another cool thing about this whole collection. You can tell all these writers are writing from their hearts about like, if I was in Star Wars, or what I want to see in Star Wars is this. And I think this might have been the most emblematic of that.
I thought so too.
Because of what I know about him,
and it's really cool to sort of get the perspective that it's not just all about blasters and killing each other, and like there are scientists that have to help the rebellion in their own way, and there was a lot of commentary about that of different people in the rebellion finding their importance. That was sort of a recurring theme in a lot of stories of like everybody has a role, and it's really cool to see that kind of stuff. So I loved it. It was one of my favorite stories.
Tauntaun.
Oh,
and they were worried they were gonna freeze to death, and he like just basically relied on his like scientific knowledge. That was sick.
It was so sick, so sick.
And science rules. Bill Nye was right.
Science does rule.
Science is cool.
Bill. Sorry.
Well, I'll go the complete other end of that. I'm going to pick the story for my first one. The story that I honestly couldn't stop thinking about from the time I read it to the time I finished the collection. And that is Kendall by Charles Yu. This is the story of now Admiral Ozzel. I said Ozell last time. I think I got made fun of. Admiral Ozzel as he's being choked out by Vader. And it's such a cool device because Charles Yu writes it in a way that takes us through what your last memories would be. Like, oh, this sucks. Wait, am I not breathing? I thought I was breathing. Am I not breathing? And then goes into these memories mixed with visions a little bit because he's losing track of what's real and what's not, and thinking about his career. And like, it's this really fascinating look at death, and also in, kind of regrets here. Sorry, Andrew Bell in the chat says, literally read the first line, and I will. Oslo had a few regrets, not only because he was at the moment getting force choked by the big guy himself, although that was certainly part of it. Like, it's funny. Also, this book is really funny. I want to say
It
that.
is. It is really humorous.
There's a lot of comedy in this story, but there's also
speaking of comedy, the image of how the book opens of his mustache is the only thing that's white. I love that. It's so funny.
But this one really just kind of hit me in a surprisingly emotional way, where I'm like, we see these guys and they get choked out by Vader or Baja, and then we move. But it's kind of this guy had a life, and this guy had a childhood, and this guy had a family, and it's like, oh right, it kind of just brings that all down to earth, and we as readers know that it's too late for him to get any of that back. It's too late to make any of that right because he's going to die. So like, as a reader, you can't help him. Yeesh. And there's a weird feeling of that. But this one hit me. I really thought it was super well written, and just I couldn't get it out of my head. So that is why I picked it, put it in my top 5.
It was beautifully sad, and him trying to figure out who the kid was that he was like running up the mountain with or whatever, and then he eventually realizes, wait, that was just like me as a child. That was incredible. And I will say, not to turn this into another Living Force like medical episode, but that's not like uncommon to see people, become delirious like that, and to think that their old loved ones are around when they're really not, and things like that. So it actually kind of hit me really where it counts too, because I've seen that a lot, and I could, I could really kind of extrapolate that into real life, and it was incredibly done.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree. Good
Huge
choice.
Fan. Charles, take us to the next one. Off of that, see if it's another sad one, we'll just kind of stay in this place. But
well, I will say Kendall was going to be in my top 5, but I'll pick another one, and I'll just second that, and it has got to be Rendezvous Point by Jason Fry. So this was essentially Rogue Squadron, all of the old Legends books, just in a short story.
It was.
Except, was it short? This was a long.
No, it was so long.
I thought about that.
This read like an audition to write a Rogue Squadron book. I'm not even gonna lie.
It totally did.
I would be interested to hear kind of like some of these people had to be told, you got to shorten this a little bit, and then some of these people just had to be let loose, I guess. And Jason Fry was one of them. It was incredible. It was basically the story of Rogue Squadron after Hoth, and how they had to form from a bunch of people who would not really be your first choice. But it was all that the rebellion had, and it's who they had to rely on. And it really, I think, captured obviously the spirit of the rebellion, but also the spirit of Rogue Squadron that we see from the old Legends series, where, you do lose people in this story. You do see the real cost of war, and you really do see how behind the 8 ball the rebellion is against the Empire. And the fact that you could go through all of those emotions and portray all of those different plot points in, I don't know, give or take a 30-page short story, I was really blown away.
Yeah, I would totally back all that really stuff up.
Yeah, it felt the most like the old X-Wing books, for sure. I mean,
yeah, it did. And honestly, we got a lot of really good Rogue stuff in this book. Like, there were at least 3, I think, if I remember correctly, 3 stories about Rogue Squadron pilots, right? We had Rendezvous Point, we had Against All Odds, that was about Dak, right? He's technically Rogue Squadron too, right? Yeah, Dak. And then Zev, the Rogue 2, that was that one. That was pretty good.
I was just gonna say, in the chat here, we got a couple questions. Any love for Rogue 2? So I'm gonna cheat here and say Rogue 2 was gonna be one I was gonna bring up, but we'll just John brought that one up. So yes, loved the Zev Sineska story. I loved them all betting and kind of like that pilot camaraderie. Also, we got another inside baseball thing from Tom that said everyone was asked to try to hit 2,000 words. Jason Fry asked specifically, quote, "What's the max length?" and then wrote the longest. So
Excellent.
you were right on the money there, Charles.
Excellent.
That's awesome.
And Spice Den also asked, do we think Jason Fry is going to be a story consultant on the new movie?
I don't know how that works. I don't know if they consult the authors. It's a good question.
That'd be cool to bring one of them in, though, just to see
Yeah,
how
he
it
could write
works.
a tie-in novel, that's for sure.
Give him a
Yeah,
cameo.
I would say I think that generally they're going to let Patty Jenkins do what she wants and then edit around rather than saying, here's the characters you need to use, here's
totally.
this.
What about an expanded edition novelization, though, by Jason Fry?
True, he did Last Jedi.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
Fair enough. Great poll, Charles.
Cool.
I love it.
I will just dive into my next one, and I think this one was probably my favorite story in the entire book, which was Tooth and Claw.
That's a good one. That was such a good one.
Michael Kage is how you say their name. I tried. Eric gave us specific homework that we had to learn how to pronounce all the authors' names.
Kogi is
Is
what
it
I
Kogi?
is what I
Damn
saw.
it! He gave us homework that we had to learn how to pronounce all the authors, and I literally have tried for the last like 10 minutes trying to figure out how to pronounce it, and I can't find it anywhere. So Michael Kogi, I'm an idiot. Forgive me for my ignorance. This one was narrated by Mark Thompson, and I think it was narrated by Mark. I hope I'm saying that. I hope that's who it was, now that I'm remembering. This was an unbelievable audiobook experience. Like,
so good.
it wasn't Mark Thompson. I want to clarify that first. Do you guys know?
Let me check.
I don't know, because this is
Let's
also one I
find out.
read. So
I think it was Mark. I'm pretty sure it was Mark Thompson. The portrayal of all of the Trandoshans in this book, in the audiobook, was like next level. Like the hisses and the sound effects, like it was so good. The clinking of the claws against a metal floor, like it was sick. Like it felt like on a different level than everything else. And the story was really, really good. I've always really liked Bosk, and I've wondered what the hell he's been up to since his old running with Boba days, which we got a little bit of look at in some other stories in this book. So really cool. He kind of faces off against what he thinks is a Wookiee, like there's a bounty on a Wookiee that's like kind of responsible for helping other Wookiees escape from the Empire. Chainbreaker, great name by the way. Turns out not to be a Wookiee. I won't spoil the big reveal in that story because I want you guys to go read it. But it is it's really, really good. And we get a lot of look into like what Wookiee ships are like, and they have like trees and they're made of wood. And
I love that.
God, it was so good. It was so good.
I had that as one of my honorable mentions just because Bosk said the line, "The Wookiees in their damn trees."
I 100% agree. It was in my top
Fantastic.
3, maybe my top 2 as well, Corey, just to throw another one of mine out there. Because remember, guys, fun fact, in high school, I had a leopard gecko named Bosk.
That's
and I somehow
right.
still had a date to prom.
Wow,
Just
that's
saying.
great.
Yeah, Andrew
I
Bell
love
brought
Bosk.
up in
He's
the
really well done.
Andrew brought up in the comments he wants wants a follow up to Tooth and Claw of all the stories he read. I totally agree. And you know, one minor spoiler that I will give away is that the Chainbreaker makes a deal with Bosk, and Bosk sort of agrees not to hunt Wookiees anymore. So I don't know if that's real, if that's going to be followed up on, if he's just lying through his teeth. It wasn't really said, and yeah. Tom in the chat tells us only Mark could pull it off, and okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I didn't want to give him the credit if it wasn't him, but man, such a good story.
Love that one. Wes, what about you? What do you got next?
Alrighty, so going back to what I had said earlier, so hearing the narrator of this next story instantly made me put it in my top 5. So Sam Witwer narrated the disturbance.
He did marinate the crap out of the disturbance.
He marinated my ears. Ooh, my
Sam
goodness.
Witwer read The Disturbance by Mike Chen. And if Sam Witwer is the voice of Darth Maul in the Clone Wars and in Rebels. So once you hear his voice, you're like, oh, that's awesome. I know exactly who that is. And I mean, who better than to do a story about the dark side and about the Sith and Palpatine. So basically, this is a story about Palpatine's point of view and him having a Force vision or meditating under the old Jedi Temple in Coruscant. So he's meditating and he sees or he feels somebody's dream or like a Force vision or somebody's vision basically of him in his quarters or in his office, and he sees a hooded figure that comes into his office, and then he sees a doppelganger of himself that shows up, and eventually there is a fight that breaks out, and the hooded figure slays him or kills him, and he sees another person, but first he hears him say, he says, "You have done well." And then the hooded figure removes the cloak, and it ends up being Luke Skywalker. But he doesn't know exactly who that is. He just sees some sandy-haired boy that's down on his knees. And then he sees Vader show up. And it's not the Vader of old. He says it's, I have it written down here. Palpatine is viewing Anakin Skywalker as he had once lived before the suit of armor. So he talks about how he sees the scar over his eye, and then it's not just Vader and Luke as the new master and apprentice, if you will. It is Vader with Padme, and they're looking out over a sky filled with Star Destroyers. So they're looking out over their new empire, like he expressed in Episode 3.
Your new empire.
Yeah, he like totally like sort of like made fun of Vader. He was like, he was like, of course, this is his delusion. Like, it was so good. That was one of my favorite stories. I was actually going to probably go with that one next if nobody else did. And the fact that Sam Witwer did it, did the narration
100%.
was next level.
One of the big things that caught me was, in Empire Strikes Back says there's a disturbance in the Force. Mm-hmm. So we think the disturbance in the Force is just Luke coming to age and realizing his Jedi powers. But from what I read, the disturbance in the Force is Vader trying to keep Luke a secret.
Yes.
So
he's like figured it out, and he doesn't want the Emperor to know.
So that's what kind of made me go, holy crap, this is definitely part of my top 5. And Sam Witwer.
Yeah.
So good.
Awesome choice.
Sam Witwer also did the did he do the what are they? The Wampa story? Was that Sam Witwer too?
I believe so.
I think it was.
He did a couple.
Yes, he did a couple, and I think the other one that stood out to me was the Wampa story, which by itself wasn't as much of my favorite story itself, but like with the narration, it was up there too. Yeah. It was really good as well.
Yep. Sam was an all-timer. Love him. My next one I'm going to put up is one that I actually kind of started to mention earlier, and this is going to be Vergence by Tracy Deonn. This is the story of and from the point of view of the cave on Dagobah.
Fascinating.
Very fascinating.
A crazy good story, and I bring this up, one, because I love the perspective. It's so unique and wild, but two, because selfishly it introduced me to Tracy Deonn, the author, who, as I said earlier, wrote a book called Legendborn, which I highly recommend. It's a great fantasy novel that came out this year. But this story, the sentence cadence is unlike anything I've read. Like, the way the cave speaks, I get, which it's such a weird way to describe it. The Dagobah cave describes the Force and describes all the people and beings that have come onto the planet and come inside it to witness visions and witness things about the universe, and like the cave speaks like, they enter my realm, they're mine, I slither around them and tell them their fears. And it's such a cool way to talk about one of the trippiest parts of The Empire Strikes Back, because that cave scene is absolutely mind-blowing. I remember the first time I watched it as a kid, you're like, is this magical realism? But it gets crazy. And in reading this, you're like, oh, this cave has been doing this for forever. It talks about Yoda arriving to Dagobah and Yoda's trials with the cave and what happened with all of that.
Like, long have they came and visited my cave, and I've shown them visions.
But Yoda goes there on purpose, like all the time.
Yes.
He's the first one to come back multiple times.
Yeah. And the cave talks about a dance, and like how it is a dance between the two of them for years and years, and how they work in like kind of symbiosis together. And it is unlike anything I've ever read and probably ever will read again in a Star Wars book. And it's just a really cool, creepy description of this scene that was already weird. and it is now added, like you said, Corey, it's expanded the universe even more in my head about that scene, more than maybe any other story in this book.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
much love for Virgins.
So
Yeah,
the cave
too.
itself, is there a gnarled tree that has like its roots going around the cave, like as the entrance, or is the cave just like a hollowed out tree?
I don't know. I
What
couldn't
is
really
it?
gather that either.
I think
That's
that's
what
kind
kinda
of like the
confused
question
me.
of it, like because
Yeah.
it says,
What is a cave?
Say, remember your
What is-
failure at the cave, and he goes, Yoda means me. Does that
Yeah.
mean it's an actual
something-
cave? I want to know what it is. I want to know
Yeah.
a physical thing.
it's a presence of the Force within a realm that defies the physical. Wes, come on, grow up. All right, Charles, you next, my friend.
Okay, Eric.
Okay, you guys have taken so many good ones, but there's one that no one's mentioned yet that I have to bring up, and it is Delilah S. Dawson's "She Will Keep Them Warm."
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
I have
So
never. I never thought I would care about tauntauns like this. Okay. I really, really didn't. I mean, I've always thought tauntauns were cool, made like the world's most annoying noise ever. Like they literally make the noise that your sibling would make in your ear in the back seat on like a ride, hours away, some cross country trip. But it was so good. So we learn about essentially, this is telling the story of one tauntaun in particular.
The pack leader.
The pack leader named Murrah, I think is how you say it. That's how I read it. And she's basically like an older female tauntaun that is kind of the leader of the group that got captured by the rebels and was kind of made to help them. And we learned that it was actually Murrah's daughter who Luke took out whenever he was doing his scouting and ends up getting caught out there. And Murrah is losing her mind because she knows that, if Luke doesn't come back, it's her daughter that's not coming back. And she really wants to get out there and go find her. So we learn all this cool stuff about like tauntaun hierarchy. And like she gets challenged. Yeah, she gets like challenged and she's in like a fight ring for a second. And you're like, what?
Yep.
And ultimately she's like basically kind of lets it be known that like she wants to be the one to get out there. She has a beautiful moment with Leia, and then she goes out to find her daughter. And sadly, we know what happens with that. But yeah, I will never be able to watch that scene the same way again.
Yeah.
And that is just the point of this book. Like it was amazing.
Yeah, you see new things from
that one.
new perspectives. Yeah, like something else that I'm never going to be able to look at the same either is the guy. What's the story? I don't want to. I think it's A Good Kiss. That's what it was. A Good Kiss by C.B. Lee of that story. And like we see him in the film. He's the guy that cuts between Han and Leia because he's like the runner, running things around all the time. He cuts between them. He's like, oh, damn it, these people again. They're always yelling at each other all the time. Like, it's like, can't you do this somewhere else in this tiny little hallway? It was hilarious. I'm never going to be able to see that stuff.
Because he's in the middle of his own love story now. And I'm like, oh, and he gets people out. So I'm like,
it's great.
I love him.
That was really good. Really, really good. That's not my choice though. I want to use my slot for another one.
All right, great. Well, great choice, Charles. Delilah Dawson, obviously, always hitting home runs.
Absolutely.
Corey, we'll get you. What is your next slot then?
My next slot is Fake It Till You Make It by Kevin Scott.
Yeah, okay, I'm so glad someone said this one.
Fake It Till You Make It is about Jackson the Rabbit, famous character. Not actually a rabbit, but he looks like a rabbit. He's basically a rabbit. He was colloquially referred to as Jackson the Rabbit in Legends for the longest time. And this character was brought back. Shout out to Kevin Scott for doing such an incredible job of this characterization. In the audiobook, it's not one of those stories that really shined as an audiobook too, because the vocal cadence and that sort of thing of the way that Jackson was performed was fantastic. He's a male leppy, I think is how you say it. Leppy. It looks just like a rabbit. Apparently him and Lando go way back, and he's still a little rough around the edges, but also like highly incompetent. So like basically Daffy Duck except a freaking smuggler, and he's terrible at it. And he sort of has a heartwarming story of turning away from his ways and helping people escape from Cloud City, and it's a story that makes you feel really, really good. And the last line of the book is like, if it's good enough for Lando, it's good enough for me. And he's talking about like helping people and going clean, and I was just like, oh man, this makes me feel good. I like this story. Like it was good. It was good. And also it also really clarified, I don't think it really meant to do this, but it also really clarified a lot of Lando's story of like, he is actually legitimate, and he is a legitimate businessman. He has really turned away from all of his smuggler stuff, and all that is sort of talked about, like, but you never really know watching Empire if Lando is really clean, like, or if it's all just kind of a hustle. But no, he's really clean, and that's the story sort of reveals that. So I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, I like this one especially because I don't think I've ever read a story written with more love for the character than Cavan's got with Jackson. Like, when we talked to him 2 years ago, he said, I hope my legacy is being able to introduce Jackson to a whole new generation of fans. Yeah. And he has clearly carried that torch for years. And he did. I mean, Cavan, you did it, man. Like, you're the voice of Jackson for this generation, and how special that must feel to be able to bring a character you loved as a child into the 40th anniversary collection of maybe the most beloved Star Wars movie ever. And he did it with Jackson. That's just so cool. I love that story.
Fantastic. Spice Dan pointed out in the chat that he said he put him in 3 different stories this year, which is fantastic.
Jackson Defense Squad. Put him in the next movie. Put him in Rogue Squadron, Patty. All right, Wes, get your next story.
Be a great Black Series figure.
Yes.
All right, my next story is, I might have stolen this from probably all of you, and most notably Charles. But my next story is There Is Always Another by Mackenzie Lee.
There it is.
So this is basically Obi-Wan's point of view from when Luke is on Dagobah with Yoda, and he's about to leave to go help his friends. So there's a lot of humor in this story, and there's what I saw was a lot of I guess compare and contrast between him and his father Anakin.
Yeah.
So he would go back and forth. He said Anakin was like this, but Luke is like this. One particular point is that with Anakin, it was thoughts of his mother, then thoughts of Padme, then Ahsoka, then Obi-Wan, all of that loss. And then with Luke, it was his friends, Han and Leia, but his heart was already laying down the roots that he doesn't know why. And I was like, wow, that's really powerful.
Yeah.
But then there was a lot of humor that was put into this. And one of the funniest parts was whenever Obi-Wan was talking about how he was tasked with training Anakin, and he said, and yes, there was Mace Windu who scowled at everyone like that. He said Mace scowled at everyone like that though, and he did have a particular scowl just for Anakin. And I was like, oh, Mace Windu, man, they're really giving it to you. And even the authors are telling you that you need to.
They're like, we knew it.
You need to perk up a little bit.
No, that was great.
Yeah, and then the last one was if it were Anakin sent to Dagobah by a ghost, he would have stormed out of that hut complaining and probably walked off the planet if he could. So there's a lot of humor in this one that I appreciated.
All right, Charles, as our resident Obi-Wan fan, you said this was your most anticipated story. What did you think about getting old Ben back?
It was really nice. I mean, again, anytime you can link kind of across the trilogies now, especially in hindsight, that's something really special. And seeing old Force Ghost Ben, thinking back to his time with Anakin, because you look back at the dialogue from the original trilogy when he talks about Luke's father, and they didn't know what the heck they were talking about. Like they just didn't. But now getting these links, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Really, really good time. Obviously, any more Obi-Wan we can get, we love. Very solid. I want to go back. I find weirdly we're talking about a lot of Hoth stories, but there were a lot of good ones. I'm going to go back to one called Against All Odds by R.F. Kuang, which is the story of Dak. And this one, much like Kendall, stuck with me because of just the emotional intensity of it. because we all know Dak Ralter, he could take on the Empire himself, and he's all joyous, and then he dies. And this story, I thought it was pretty short, but I learned so much about Dak, learned why he's a good shot, which was, I'm not going to spoil that, very kind of
I have no approach vector. I'm not set.
Yeah. But you see this guy that's like, I want to help the rebellion, and I want to make up for the sadness of my past, and I want to do all these things. And then
hello, Andrew. Sorry to interrupt. F for Dak, 100 bits. Appreciate that.
Oh yeah, F in the chat for Dak, everybody. But we see, like, we witness the death, and the lines are so good. Like, it happens so quickly. Dak doesn't have time to hurt, and it ends though, with us hearing the scene we know, hearing Luke's dialogue from Dak as he's like fading out. But then it ends really well. He says, "But Luke's going to be fine. The rebels will get off Hoth. They'll escape the Imperial fleet. They'll find another hideout." Like, he keeps talking about how the rebellion's going to survive, and he dies with such peace.
He does, yeah.
That is it's a really beautiful way of talking about death, I think. In these books there's a lot of death in this book, in these movies, in this saga. But Dax now turns from one of like, oh, Luke can't get him out, to, oh no, that's good. Dak dies knowing the rebellion's going to be fine, because they just will. And he's made up for the fact that he had to like do horrible things in his past as a kid, and now he gets to be part of a good moral victory, and just really, really beautiful stuff.
Watching Empire, because you guys know I have insomnia all the time. I watch Empire a couple times a month, literally all the time, because I just like put my brain on a record player. And there are a few characters in all of the original trilogy that every time I see them on screen, I really think about them a lot. And like, I really have this sort of meta relationship with this character. I'm like, who is this person? What are they doing? Like, what is their story? And like, Dak, for some reason, is always a character I really get hung up on when I'm watching Empire. So to finally get his story told was incredibly satisfying. Like,
I mean, it's a character in a movie about how the Empire is incredibly overpowered, who says he feels like he could take on the whole Empire by himself.
Right. He's just such an interesting, like, how did he become Luke's co-pilot? And all that type of stuff was all really cool stuff that like I'd wanted to know, and I got. And sort of related to that point, I'm not sure if you guys learned anything new about the film. Like, obviously we all learned things about the film, but like, did you see anything in the from the book that you learned that you didn't realize, that you didn't know about the film? Because the one big one that stood out to me, I cannot believe I didn't realize this. To this day, I've always thought that Rogue 2 was Wedge Antilles. I don't know why. I've always thought it was. It's obviously not the same actor.
It's Zev Sineska.
It's Zev Sineska. I don't know why I've always thought that, but I was like, holy shit, that is not Wedge? How have I been? I own a Star Wars company, for Christ's sake. I didn't know it wasn't Wedge. Like, it was kind of a slap in the face. I don't know how I didn't notice it.
I'm also glad you brought that one up, because we mentioned this story earlier, but I also love the reasoning behind that. The fact that he's Rogue 2 because there won't be a Rogue 1.
That's right.
Because they need to respect them all. You know what I mean?
That was really good.
That's incredible.
Oh God, so cool. Absolutely love those. I
think we're almost out of stuff. I have one more that I want to give.
Let's do it.
I want to give a mention for.
Everyone do one more.
Okay.
Let's go around the whole room. Charles, one more. Okay. You got to pick.
Do you guys want to be? There's so many I can name. You want to be sad or do you want to be happy?
Both at the same time.
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna pick the one that I think maybe fewer of you might pick, so maybe you'll choose the other one. I'm gonna pick. But what does he eat? Okay.
Thank you. I'm so glad you chose that one.
I need to look at the author. If one of y'all has it handy, tell me.
Yeah. It is.
Let's see.
I gotta find that out. It's S.A. Where is it? S.A. Chakraborty.
Yes, thank you.
This one should not have been good, as it was, frankly. Okay, it's a weird pitch.
It is a weird pitch, and it opens up and you read the title, and it says, "But what does he eat?" And then you just sit there for a second, then you go, "But what does he eat?" Like, and we've joked about this on the show before, like Vader, like shoveling spaghetti or whatever through his little ventilator, but like. But like, this story was hilarious. So essentially the premise is, obviously whenever they try to ambush Luke and Han and Leia on, or I guess it's really just Han and Leia on Cloud City at the dinner where Vader's sitting at the dinner table and he says, "We'd be honored if you would join us," etc. It's about the chef who was asked to cook that dinner. Okay, which is like, what? First of all, who comes up with that? But it's such a good story because it's not just about her cooking this meal for Vader. It's about her realizing the consequences of this meal and the opportunity that she actually has as like this incredibly skilled chef to like secretly poison Vader and like take him out.
Which I can't believe we didn't think of that before this story. I've never thought of that. And I'm like, oh, of course you would.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, like Vader totally must have a stormtrooper taste tester, like back in the day when the Kings would have someone try their meal first to make sure it's not poison. But no, and it was really cool. And she had like an Ugnaught sous chef who helped her out, and they had some really great back and forth. And you know, we know that meal doesn't really happen ultimately.
And also,
but it was,
she's a Devronian and is pretty immune to poison. They pointed that out, just like the Devronian was immune to the fire in Mandalorian last season. You remember?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
They're
details.
demons.
Yeah, because they're demons.
Demons, yeah.
You know, demons out on me.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was great, man. Especially and ending it on that weird note of like, what is my duty as a person? Like, should I try to kill this fascist leader? Like, even though it might harm me, but is that like morally, am I supposed to do this? And it kind of takes this funny premise and puts it in this kind of bigger metatextual question, you know, of philosophically, is this my responsibility? So I really,
what is the rebellion? Is it is it flying an X-wing, or is it that mindset, you know?
Great
Also,
choice, man.
My only minor complaint is that we didn't actually answer the question.
Nope. Very true.
And I kept waiting to find out how he does it, and we didn't find out. And I'm kind of mad.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie.
I'm waiting for Tom to say that if you get a magnifying glass on the last page and you look at like the bottom, it just says mashed potatoes in like 0.5 font.
Also, speaking of things, this doesn't count as mine. Speaking of, we never find that out, right? You said, in the Willrow Hood story, it was fun. We don't find out what's in the Cantonica.
Yeah, what's in the damn box? I want to know what's in the box.
I can't believe it. And
I'm so mad.
I can't believe we didn't find that out.
Tom says some questions shouldn't be answered.
You're right. Maybe the mystery is it. But I was like, I really thought. Anyway, Wes, what's your last one?
I'm almost happy they didn't tell us. Anyways, okay, so quickly,
Oh damn it! Hold on, sorry. What Tom had another great. What Vader eats is in the box. Clearly. It all makes sense.
Oh my god.
All right, go ahead, Wes.
Okay, really quick. My last one is "This Is No Cave" by Catherine M. Valente.
I'm so glad you picked that one too.
This
good
one
choice.
really good because we all thought that giant sandworm on the asteroid was a predator and it was an asshole and that it was just trying to eat them, and it would have ruined our heroes for the entirety of the movie, if not the sequel. But in all actuality, this sandworm had the Millennium Falcon.
Asteroid worm.
Yeah,
right.
Sandworm,
like
is asteroid
like
worm?
An inter-universal being, like
Space worm.
Yeah.
No, it's not even a space worm, right? Anyways, let's say asteroid worm. Had it in its mouth, and it was, in all actuality, it was changing its biology, I guess, to help Han and Leia and Chewie survive. Yeah. So instead of them having to wear their masks, he was changing the inside of its stomach so they could breathe regular air, and he would basically be a part of him for the rest of their lives or whatever.
Yeah, and like it sang the song of the universe.
It did.
And like,
it was really meta.
Him wanting to show off the butterflies, like he called them, in his stomach.
Yeah.
And then everyone made fun of him. It just cut to the heart of
it. Was.
I love Zio the space worm.
It really felt like that episode of Futurama where Bender like meets God, like out in the cosmos is this crazy light being thing that controls everything. Like that's what the asteroid worm is. That's it. Yep. Also, I have to say that now when I get a tummy ache, there's no way I'm not going to be able to think about having an atmosphere in my belly. So, like,
You just have to make it good for the food.
That's right.
And at the very end, it says that the Millennium Falcon left like jet stains on the inside of his teeth, and I was like, oh man, and it hurt him on the way out too. Damn.
Poor buddy. Poor buddy.
He was just trying to provide. He was trying to be a provider.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was my last one.
I like that one a lot. Great choices, guys. Corey, last one.
My last one is going to be Wait For It by Zoraida Cordova, which is the Boba Fett story.
John Hamm.
Yeah, great great story. Really enjoyed this one. Like, one of my favorite lines is when he, like, when they're all lined up and he's like greeting, these guys that he works with occasionally, or like he comes across, it's like running into your coworkers, and he comes across Bosk, and Bosk says, Boba. Bosk hissed in greeting. How many times was he supposed to tell the old Trandoshan that it was Fett or Boba Fett? He wasn't no little kid anymore. Sure, they had history. Probably would be the closest thing he had to a friend, if he actually wanted a friend. So the reason I want to bring up that line is because in one of the in the episode of Bounty Hunt, talking about the portrayal of Boba Fett in The Mandalorian, we talked about how in Legends and canon, Boba Fett has seen so many different portrayals as a character. He's been this annoying little kid in Clone Wars. He's been this violent, ruthless killer in the Bounty Hunters comic. He's been this sort of father-like figure in some of the old Legends stuff. And this was a really good, I felt like, tie-in to sort of all the different portrayals of Boba Fett we've seen, because that angry little kid is still in the suit. Like he's still there. So, and we haven't really seen that. We've only seen this calm, cool, and collected, like, powerful Fett in Empire. But like, we got to see this a little whiny, just a little more mature whiny Boba Fett, I think, in this story, which I really appreciated. I liked seeing it. Makes the transition from Clone Wars Boba Fett to Empire Boba Fett less harsh, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And it's a lot of fun because Zoraida got to write Boba in the Clone Wars anthology earlier this year. I got to write him here, so I think this is going to be a fun character maybe for her to continue on. Before I give my last one, Tom asked a question for the doctors. He wants to say, what do the doctors think of the story that apparently was written by an actual doctor? Lydia Kang wrote Right Hand Man, which is the second to last story, is about the medical droid, actually written by a doctor. So, guys,
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I cannot believe they didn't. List. They should have printed Dr. Lydia Kang. I didn't realize that was. I did read this one. This was the medical one.
Yeah. Yep.
It's on my list of loves, and there was something. There was one line in particular, and there's no way I'll be able to find it now, but I read it and I was like, wow, this person did their homework to actually have written that line.
Yeah, their homework.
Now I know that she did her 4 years of med school. Yeah, so really well done. And actually, outside of just the medical stuff, there was some really awesome interplay between like a droid's mindset and a force user's mindset, and how they learned from each other. So I love that one.
I have to point out that this conversation is basically a conversation I have with patients every single day. I'm going to read it really fast. Commander Skywalker, are you in pain? 2-1B asked. For the first time, the patient looked up. Pain, he asked, as if he hadn't quite heard the droid's words. Yes, I can certainly give you some painkillers. Commander Skywalker blinked and he looked down at the stump of his arm. I don't think they'll work on me. Why, of course they will. All humans and humanoids are sensible to our pharmacologics. No, thank you. Charles, we have that conversation every damn day in the hospital.
Not about painkillers, buddy.
It's about Tylenol and ibuprofen. If you try some Tylenol and ibuprofen, no, I don't think that works. The only thing that works is the die. It starts with a D. It's dilaudid, I think. Yeah, that's the only one that works on me. So clearly a doctor. I don't know why I didn't realize that the first time around.
That's amazing. Now, and the thing is, this book enhances the movie. That story now enhances this book, which enhances the movie.
Yeah,
I love it.
Excellent.
All right, I wanna bring us home. There's so many other stories. If you haven't read this collection as of yet, and you're liking this episode, trust me, we're only scratching the surface of the really great stories in here. I'm gonna talk about Faith in an Old Friend by Brittany N. Williams.
That was my sad one. Heck yeah.
Yeah, it's the L3 story. introduces.
I forgot that was what that one was. I missed that when I went back through the list. I forgot that was the L3 story.
It's the Millennium Collective, which because we find out, the Falcon is comprised of 3 different, essentially souls, robotic souls or beings, and one of them's L3. And this takes us through kind of the Falcon getting to Cloud City, and there's 2 parts that hit me the hardest. Number 1 is finding out that the reason that the Falcon brings up Cloud City, Lando, in the movie is because L3 puts Lando in front of Han because she misses him and wants to see him again. Just saying that out loud almost made me get misty. But then 2, when Lando comes back into the Falcon, like she sees him.
Oh my God. He salutes the empty chair. Holy crap. I was like, oh my God.
And she put up the picture of Kessel.
Yes,
right,
and he froze and was like, what? That was great. Great story. Excellent choice to fill it out.
Really beautiful.
We should we should probably throw out some honorable mentions for some of the ones that we didn't hit. I'm just looking at here.
Sure. The Man Who Built Cloud City. That's another one of my honorable mentions.
Yep, that was a good one.
Where Alexander Freed writes about a guy who might be crazy and thinks he's the king. And again, it's probably speaking of very unique Star Wars stories as far as they go. That one,
the couple Imperial stories, Against All Odds, by let's see here. Did we already talk about that one? I guess we did.
No, that's the DAC one.
Okay, no, sorry, not the DAC. Which one is? Oh, I'm sorry. The Truest Duty is the one on my list. Sorry, by Christy Golden. That one was really good.
Veers.
That's about General Veers. That one was really good. I really enjoyed that one.
Doesn't he talk about like Vader's helmet going down? He could see, actually saw like the scars on Vader's face.
That was cool. That was a good one.
Cool.
I also liked Amara Kell's Rules for TIE Pilot Survival, probably by Django Wexler.
Yeah, it was super sarcastic. I really enjoyed it. Wasn't it I think the narrator of the Afra book is who did it, right?
Emily Wu Zeller. Who I also met in Cyberpunk 2077. Amazing job there. Glad she's getting all the money in the world.
I know. I also really enjoyed sorry to interrupt. I also really enjoyed The Final Order by Seth Dickinson about the admiral that's your Cannon House who's like doubting the rule of the Empire and stuff. That was really good. What else were you gonna say?
Standard Imperial Procedure, is that the one with the engineer?
Yep.
In the beginning, when they told them to get the hell out of their lunchroom, man, that was terrible.
By I'm not sure how to pronounce their name. Sarwat Chadha. Yeah, that was good.
We also got The Will Strike Back, the last story, the most, especially if you're an audiobook, the last story with the 2 narrators, Jonathan Davis and Mark Thompson, talking back and forth as the Will. Oh, it is the most hilarious, meta, ridiculous, fun ending to a book I've ever heard.
Other ones that we haven't mentioned yet, Dragon Snake Saves R2-D2 by Katie Cook was really good. That was fun.
Yeah, the comic.
For the Last Time by Beth Rivas was fun.
The First Lesson by Jim Zub.
The Yoda story, that one was really good. What else? Vengeance.
Ion Control.
Vengeance. Let's see what that one was.
I was gonna say Ion Control by Emily Skrutsky.
Oh yeah, that was fun too.
They're all. Honestly, I'm looking through these. I'm like,
they're all good. Like I want to talk about all of them for real because they were all so good. See, there's one more. There was one more on my list that I really wanted to honorably mention. I think maybe not. Maybe we hit all of them already.
Yeah, we've hit basic. I mean, God, there's so many fun ones. I think there's a reason our Discord channel on this book has remained active.
Yeah, it is. It's like there's a lot to digest and talk about every single book. And I guess the last thing we should run through is, Charles, you said you put together some Easter eggs for us, didn't you?
Yeah,
I do have some Easter eggs, and to be fair, this entire book is an Easter egg.
It is
for
sure. It is.
Some of the coolest things that jumped out to me, I do have a list of here, and I'll try to be quick. There actually ended up being more than I was expecting, because I initially was not going to do this, but let's run through them. So I'll just say the name of the story and then what it was. But Ion Control, one of the earlier stories, the rebels were betting on Han and Leia and whether they would basically hook up or not. And there's a person named Corporal Sunsbringer who says, someone has to go after him. We have to know what happens. This is my Boonta Eve classic, ma'am.
Oh, yes. And she was like, shut the hell up and get back to your station. That was such a great, I love that.
Eve, baby.
And it was my pod racing reference. There has to be one per book if it's not going to be a book about pod racing itself.
Great.
Rendezvous points, several here. So Wedge recalls himself and Hobby escaping from Skystrike Academy with the help of Sabine Wren.
That's
we
right.
get Sabine named in this book. That's amazing. Wedge eats a Commerkin steak, which was a consumable menu item from Star Wars Galaxies that would give your character a foraging bonus.
Holy
crap. It is also a meal that was shared by Luke and Leia on Mimban in Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
Wow.
So that's cool.
That is a deep dive right there.
That's a pretty deep one. One that probably a lot more people caught was the Contessa, who was one of Thane's commanders in Lost Stars, returns in Rendezvous Point.
That's where she was from. I was driving down the road when I was listening to that story, as I was listening to most of those stories, and when I got to my destination, I like put it in park and Googled the Contessa to try to figure out where she was from. Because like, where is that from? I can't remember, but I knew it was someone important.
Yeah. Awesome. And then we got some more Lost Stars love. In the final order, the character Tyann is noted to be from Illo, and that is the same planet as Kendi Idel from Lost Stars, who was one of Sienna's roommates in the Empire. And Cannon House actually wonders if Tyann dyes her hair to make it black because everyone from Illo has green hair, just like Kendi was said to have in Lost Stars.
That's a great one.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Really cool. Charles, I'm gonna butt in for a second because Tom also said, speaking of Rendezvous Point, X-Wing authors Michael Stackpole and Aaron Alston's names are hidden in that story.
Interesting.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to go back and try to find those. Someone throw that in the chat if you find that in the meantime. That's a fun one.
Yeah.
In the story Virgins, the cave shows Yoda Ahsoka to remind him of his past failures.
Oh,
so glad. Talk about some
that was a good
tissue.
one. I forgot
you done
about
messed up, Aaron.
Here's another deep dive for you. Tooth and Claw, Corey, you might like this one. Bosk remembers what he calls his embarrassment on Gandolo 4, which is a moon where Chewbacca and Han were attempting to set up a Wookiee colony. And that story actually came from Bosk's character entry in 1995's Essential Guide to Characters. Wow. And Gandolo 4 itself actually dates back even further to 1989 in a West End Games source book.
Holy crap.
But where were you when you first heard that? And I can tell you, I was putting rice back into my pantry and I was like, I'm gonna have to look that up later about Gondolo 4.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Yeah. So they're really Tooth and Claw. Wookiees were wielding, I don't know how you say this, if it's Rick blades, Reek blades, some type of scythe-like weapon.
I think it's Reek. It's how the audio
like
looks at
Rick blades. Probably, this is my Rick blade. It's short for my Richard blade.
It sounds like a more aggressive version of getting Rick rolled. Like you got Rick bladed. And that was a weapon. I don't know when it first appeared, but it is from Aftermath Life Debt. So that was cool.
Fantastic.
We also hear about this is the craziest one that I probably have. We also in Tooth and Claw hear about wasaka berries. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that was a good.
Do you guys know what that's from?
I do not.
I want you to tell me.
It is a Wookiee delicacy first introduced in the 40-page Wookiee storybook from 1979.
Oh my God!
Trevor Davey is just.
I was gonna say, wow, Trev,
off right now.
Wow!
Holy crap!
Yes,
he's like,
incredible.
You mean this one?
In the story Stet, which was my very first favorite choice, the Great Hyperspace Disaster is referenced from the High Republic.
Yeah.
So wow.
He's like, I know it's in there. I'm writing about it right now. So I just put it in there.
Hey, I don't know if you guys saw this earlier, but I wanted to shout her out. Meg said in the chat earlier that Stet is a publishing term. I don't know if did we talk about that already? I don't think we did.
No. We didn't talk exactly about that.
She said Stet means let it stand. It's used as an instruction on a printed proof to indicate that a correction or alteration should be ignored. So that's where the title comes from. It's a printing thing.
Because all of the corrections were ignored essentially.
Yes, and they were printed.
Yeah. Wow.
Awesome.
Yeah. The more you know. Thanks, Meg.
Delete grandpa.
Also, a quick shout out to Spice Den, who noted, and in a couple earlier stories we've already been through, the names of Alex and Molly Damon, or I think their birthdays, Alex and Molly Damon, and then Veer's Watch's actual name appear in the book as well. So some fan shout outs as well.
Wow.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
In the Veer's story, Veer's Watch's real name is like backwards as a character.
Nice.
So you got to be in a
Holy
Veer story.
Cool.
Freaking
wow.
awesome.
Well, Del Rey, I'm available if you need to.
That's right.
We got to
in
read
the
these High
story-
Republic novels, guys. We got to see if what kind of planets we got.
In the story, wait for it. Boba, Bosk, and Dengar reference their time with Latz Razzie and the rest of Krait's Claw, which was the bounty hunter syndicate featured in the Clone Wars TV show. So that was
That's right.
great.
Those are all good.
Fake it till you make it. Jackson apparently challenged Black Chrysanthemum to a drinking game once before.
Yeah. I
Yes,
saw that one.
right.
That one was really good.
Also in Fake It Till You Make It, we got that Trogloff family that was trying to escape the Empire by fleeing where? To Lysatra. Why do we know that planet? That is where none other than Eli Vanto grew up.
What?
Oh.
Interesting.
So
Jeez.
How do you
Let's
freaking
see.
find these, Charles? This is so
listen,
impressive.
it's literally my job. Okay, it's why I'm here.
It's a good.
Wow.
So in the story, but what does he eat? The chef puts Jogan fruit from Rebels into some dumplings. So that was fun.
Love that.
Beyond the Clouds. Let's see here. Is it? I wrote this. I don't remember this name, but Isabelia refers to a different bounty hunter's attire as wizard. So there we go. We're getting the Phantom Menace throwback there.
Nice.
So wizard.
So
Annie.
wizard Annie.
Absolutely. Hey, mind if I jump in one more time?
Yeah, please.
Tom brings us to light about the Molly Damon and Alex Damon birthdays. All the invented TK numbers in the book are attributable to real people in some way, as a birthday or even their 501st cosplay TK number.
Nice.
Some
Man,
people
nice.
got actually put
Shout
in the
out.
Hopefully
book.
no social security numbers.
That's right.
Yeah. Very long TKs.
In No Time for Poetry, Dengar realizes the abandoned ship that they find should have ended up in an Imperial shipyard, and he named Braca as a likely destination. So Braca is the
Fallen Order?
shipyard from Fallen
Yeah.
Order and Resistance Reborn. So
Which
that was great.
a really fantastic planet just in general, I have to say. I can't wait to
So much
see this.
fun.
Yeah.
It was. Also in No Time for Poetry, the Hutt's henchman offers IG-88 and Dengar Beskar as a bribe.
Yes.
So that's
Good to
cool.
see that come back
That's
again.
from The Mandalorian.
That show. with the
I
thing.
watched Star Wars.
In this story, Due on Batu, we get Willrow Hood actually thinking about ice cream named Nectros Freeze, which is a reference to the fact that, of course, the Camtona was that he was carrying was an ice cream maker in real life. That was kind of breaking the fourth wall.
Excellent. Excellent.
The man who built Cloud City, we get Yathros stating that Queen ZK granted him the blessings of the angels of Aigo, which is a reference to Anakin's "Are you an angel?" moment in the Phantom Menace.
Excellent.
Right.
That's a great one.
Wow.
The backup plan. The main character mentions gambling on Tip Yip races, and we know Tip Yip has been a meal
Tip
featured
Yip.
at Galaxy's Edge, and was enjoyed most recently as part of the Life Day celebration in the Star Wars Lego Holiday Special. Thanks
That's
to
right.
Poe Dameron.
Yep.
In the Will Strike Back, speaking of holiday specials, at one point it is stated, I guess you wanted to get right to the part where they all help Chewie get back to Kashyyyk to see his son for Life Day. So now that's kind of canon. Like,
Oh, yeah.
It's coming.
God.
The Will Strike Back also, we get, this is the part where they run into Score the Bounty Hunter on Ord Mantell. And that's actually a reference to a throwaway line that inspired several stories in the old Marvel comics in the 1980s. It was basically depicting various run-ins with Score, who was this yellow-skinned, pointy-eared bounty hunter with a cybernetic faceplate. So all of that stuff was just from old comics in a throwaway line, and now we get it coming back in the Will Strike Back. So that's the last one I have, but there were some incredibly deep cuts. I probably missed 50% of the things that were in this book. I mean, we could have a whole roundtable just about those. So if y'all know of any more that were really cool that you enjoyed, throw them in the chat or comment on this video if you're watching it on YouTube. I would love to catch even more.
Awesome.
That was
Well,
amazing.
Wow, what a fun book. You know what? Let's re-rate this book. I think we've talked all about what we love. We've talked about the cool things that are in here that maybe we didn't get on first, second, third read. Clearly, we're all going to be watching Empire much differently going forward, as I'm sure, Corey, you will do in the next 48 hours.
Probably.
So let's do a re-rate. Charles, do you remember what your original rating was about an hour ago?
Yeah, I gave it an 8.0, and man, I undershot this book. Even just talking through these again, I remember all of the highs that I had while reading this book. So I'm going to do something unprecedented. Probably, I'm going to come up to a 9.0, a full
Wow,
Nice.
a full point jump.
Whoa.
Look at
Nice.
you.
Nice.
Love that. Wes, you were at an 8.5, is that right?
I was at an 8.4.
That's right.
And
How dare
usually, much like every one of these roundtables, when we rate the book in the beginning, I'm going to increase my score to an 8.7.
Nice.
Basically because of Charles's Easter egg reads. And then I found another quote from There Is Always Another that I was just going through my notes on. And when Luke says, R2, fire up the converters. And Obi-Wan says, I shoot R2 a look that says, don't you dare fire up those converters. R2 gave another chirp that I swear means criff off. So an 8.7 with a criff off reference.
Dang straight. Corey.
I think I'm going to stick with my 8.5. I mean, I think this book was super unique in all the categories for which we rate books, which is, let's see if I can name them off the top of my head, because I always have trouble with this. Plot, originality, characters, entertainment, and writing. I think those are the five areas that we rate books on. And I think you could make a case for high scores in all 5 of those categories for this book, just because everything is so unique. Every story is so unique. It's like getting 40 small stories. That's why we've been talking about it for an hour and 40 minutes. It's like every single story is like one small little book, and like it's everybody has a unique characterization of folks, and I really enjoyed it. I think these are a lot of fun. I love these projects. I can't wait to get the Return of the Jedi one. I think Return of the Jedi has got like even more opportunities for really crazy storytelling.
Ewoks, baby.
Oh my god, I can't wait for that. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Cool.
And I guess I don't know if they're going to continue doing these for the prequels. If they do, which I kind of hope they do, even more. So bring on these projects. I think these are pretty high on my list of recommendations for people. Like, that's another good way to kind of think about how you want to rate a book. Is like, you know, somebody asks you, what's a good Star Wars book? I've never read one. I love Empire. It's like my favorite book. All right, well, we have a book that's all about expanding on Empire now. So I think it fits in that category really well. So 8.5, real solid.
Great. I'm going to bump my score. I was at an 8.8. I'm going to go up to a 9.1. I, like you said, Charles, I'm going to go with you. Like the highs are really high, and I think that I want to go above a 9 just to represent that. And I love that this book introduced us to all these characters and introduced us to a bunch of new writers. I mean, you think of the writers in the first from a certain point of view. A lot of them have gone on to write some great Star Wars stuff, and a lot of them have written a bunch of other good stuff that we've gotten to read because of Star Wars. So very excited for more of these. Absolutely. So excited to read back through these. You know, if I want to go to bed one time and for some reason there isn't a canon book that I need to read for a review, maybe I'll go back through some of my favorites. And of course, if you haven't yet, go back, listen to it on Audible. If you haven't got your Utini credit yet, you can still go to utini.com/audible and get that free trial. Look at that terrifying Cobb Vanth. All right, everyone. A quick reminder as we end out this show. We still have, I believe, 7 unique shows on the Utini Patreon feed at this moment that are coming out at least every other week, if not weekly, including, I'm not going to list them because I'm going to forget one. So go ahead, go to our Patreon. Get all the various shows we're getting on Legends books, on just fun topics, on all kinds of things you can imagine. Wes, we have a Utini game night coming up this week. What's it going to be?
This week is Andrew Bell, and he's going to be playing. Hopefully, if the game loads up, kind of some of these older games are hard to load, but maybe Jedi Outcast for everybody listening on Wednesday. So we'll send out a tweet about this. He'll be playing Jedi Outcast on Twitch on Wednesday evening. So just stay tuned for that.
Awesome. And speaking of Twitter, remember, go to our Utini Twitter account, not Living Force, the Utini_US Twitter account, and find the tweets so you can enter for the giveaway for Thrawn Ascendancy Chaos Rising, a special edition. We have this week, there's going to be 2 tweets where you can enter. Next week, there will be 2 final tweets, and we will be announcing the winner at the Christmas party live on Monday, December 28th. So go ahead over there. You got to be following to win. Like the tweet, retweet it, reply. All the instructions are over there. We want to see who gets that book. And finally, next week, as we said, are the Utini Awards. You have voted. You have seen the nominees. Now it is time to tune in, see all of us dress up, and have some pretty cool new visual overlays. Monday, December 21st, live on Twitch, 7 p.m. Eastern. And of course, it'll be on YouTube later in the week. We're going to celebrate 2020 with our favorite books, moments, and more. We can't wait to see you all then. And on that note, my friends, that is going to do it for this week's episode of The Living Force.